Rachel Spencer Hewitt with PAAL, and I'm here at the Public Theater with the creators of Triplight, a new musical coming at you next week. So I'm going to go ahead and let them introduce themselves because they have a wonderful story for those of us at PAAL that we're very interested in hearing about in terms of their process. As you can see, he's one of their creators. So if you all want to go ahead and introduce yourselves.
Sure, I'm Ali Collier. I'm the playwright, so I wrote the book and co-wrote the lyrics.
Hi, I'm Greta Gertler-Gold. I'm the composer and co-lyricist, and this is Evan Wonder Gold, my second child,
Yes.
who's 5 months old.
Wonderful. So tell me a little bit about, thanks dude. Tell me a little bit about Triplight and what it's about.
Well, Triplight is a rock indie musical set in the 90s. It's about a 90s band who are on the cusp of fame, and just before their first album is set to be released, they tragically disappear in this accident. But their singer-songwriter survives. So she's become a recluse, and it's really a story about her emerging 20 years later and doing this radio interview for the first time. And it's funny and dark and pretty unconventional musical, I would say, that's happening at Joe's Pub.
Well, that sounds amazing. And you were saying that you've been writing this musical for a while. About how long would you say?
Well, we began with a sort of 15-minute version of it in 2011.
Wow.
And then it was developed, we got some interest from the Rhinebeck Writers Retreat and U-Cross and Space at Ryder Farm to develop it into a full-length show, and then it's just had various workshops over the years, and at the Tank in 2017.
Yeah.
And so yeah, basically we've worked on it on and off for 8 years. And
Whoa.
This is our first, it's a concert version of it, but it's pretty produced, and actually Joe's Pub is the pretty much ideal venue for this show, I think, because it's a
it sounds
music
like that.
venue. And, yeah.
It's got and you're saying it has so many rock elements
Yes.
as well.
Yeah, so
like
the
contemporary
actors have to
sound.
sing, play instruments, and act.
Well,
So
I love that.
they're like triple threats.
Yeah, interdisciplinary.
Yeah.
And babysit.
And babysit. Must love children. Yeah, so tell me about this. The way that this came to my attention first was a post I saw of you capturing the rehearsal space, but in the foreground lay precious little one. So talk to me about what it's been like producing your own musical and having a baby on board. How has the space been? How has been navigating the space?
Really amazing. I think that it's one of the most exhausting times of my life, but also one of the most fulfilling, exciting times of my life, because everything's kind of converged. I've sort of been working towards this for years, making this musical, and this is actually my first theatrical production in New York. And I've had one in Australia, but it really means a lot to me. I've lived here for 20 years, and I've been working on music and musicals throughout that whole time.
Wow.
And I also really was working on having a baby for a long time, because I'm in my late 40s and I've had infertility for a few years. So that's a whole other issue to talk about, but it all worked out, which was just incredibly lucky, and I'm just really grateful to be doing it. And I feel like I'm also spread very thinly, and certain things I have to let go of certain things that aren't going to work out as easily now in this phase, creatively and as a parent. So that's challenging, but I'm pretty thrilled, and I just want other people to feel they can do this. And it means a lot to me that you guys are helping to facilitate that.
Well, thank you for telling your story. Yeah, I couldn't sum it up any better than just your transparency. I mean, even the stories about fertility, we feel like people are still talking about it so secretly. And a lot of it has to do with kind of the business thinking if you're pursuing anything else as passionately, then you're divided in your work, when actually we've found that it's just a sign of a passionate, committed artist, because you're telling the truth about what you want to fulfill your life. And I would expect that same sort of truth in your work. I know that we were talking about, how difficult it is sometimes when you're not the one producing your own piece. So what are some ways that you have felt you've had freedom in being your own producer, and what are some of the the complications.
I mean, I think we've had Evan in every single rehearsal, which I think is actually pretty radical.
Yeah.
It's not the norm to have a 4-month-old hanging out, being breastfed, like making noises. He's very chill.
Yeah.
And
He's like, that's me.
he's like,
thank you.
He was born, he was like, okay, first thing you're going to learn is how to write a musical.
Yes.
Put on a musical.
But he's like, put me in, coach.
It's been such a, I mean, for me, I'm sort of witnessing this process as someone who's 21 weeks pregnant, so which is interesting too, but it's been such a open process in that way, and everyone's been so on board for it. I mean, the actors are happy to have him there. The director is happy to have, like it's a female team, so it's a different atmosphere maybe to having, I don't know, a male director or a male producer. We, basically almost all of our crew, like creative people, are women. So I think there's a kind of acceptance to the process that's made it. And it's, Greta and I were joking about how he kind of lowers our blood pressure, because having him around really is actually a nice thing, and everyone loves to hold him. It's like the stage manager is holding him, occasionally the director's holding him, I'm holding him, and everyone's just sort of, I feel like people have stepped in. I don't know if you feel like that, but people are there, and I really enjoy having him around. I find it to be pleasurable to have a baby in the room.
Yeah.
And to have that sense that we can do that, that we're allowed to do that no one's sort of like, well, this isn't professional or something.
Right. I think that it's such a testimony to how the decision makers set the tone for the culture in this space. And if you are comfortable in your leadership with having a child in the room, I think that can do, it doesn't do everything, but it does so much in helping the people who are working for you and creating for you, letting them know this is going to be okay because you want artistic integrity.
Yeah.
And if you feel like this enhances it, they're going to look to you to be assured of that as well. So it's so important that you've been saying yes to that process. Which is really
and I
great.
think, of course, it wouldn't work for everyone. Like, Evan is a very chill baby.
Right.
So some people are probably going to be like, that would be hell for me to have to bring my kid in and try and rehearse.
Yeah.
But he's, a particularly easy baby, which is a gift.
Also, I mean, I had an unusual circumstance in that my home burnt down just before this rehearsal process started, and I lost my breast pump and all this stuff that I was planning on pumping and giving him to my husband to look after some of these rehearsals, but in the moment I had to deal with actually finding a new home and all this other extraneous stuff, which is pretty unusual.
Yes.
So I was just like, well, he's coming along. I'm nursing him and it's going well, and I don't really want... It's actually helping me stay healthy if I have to be healthy to feed him. So getting us all through this process felt like the easiest thing to do is bring him along with me everywhere.
Yeah.
And I feel lucky that I can breastfeed because it's often hard to breastfeed. And that's another thing people don't really talk about before you become a mother. There's so many little things that are so, I feel like sharing that with other people going through it is going to just help so much.
Absolutely.
And, I mean, I'm always happy to share any information on how we had our babies, and, with other people struggling with infertility and that sort of thing too, because it just, it's hard to talk about it, but I feel lucky to have got through the other side, and I know that I still kind of feel like I never, will get over that phase, because it was really hard to keep trying and your body doesn't do what you want it to do.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, those are formative experiences. I think that coming through on the other side, I mean, your willingness to talk about that really shines a light on the people who are in the middle, in the middle of the experience. And this idea of, not every baby, not every room is true. We have a lot of PAAL representatives who say, my preference is that I'm supported in a way where my child can be in a different space.
Right.
So that, because they have to compartmentalize. And for us, it's all about the agency of the parent. It's about saying, how are you creating access so that this parent is treated as an artist and as a professional so that they can deliver their work. And theater artists of all people should be able to know how to navigate major life events.
Yeah.
That's what our pieces are usually about. the human experience. This is awesome. So what, as a final piece, what would be your recommendation for for other theaters interested in giving this a chance, and then tell us why we should come see your show. Because we should.
Sure. That's a question. What's your recommendation?
I think being open to talking to the parental artists about specifically what they might want or need to facilitate the process as a start would be good, like having a special meeting about that, and maybe considering allocating some budget for childcare or things that make it easier as just a fact of life, creating new life, and just to try to be as non-judgmental as possible.
Yes.
Because mothers and parents often judge themselves harshly enough, because there aren't that many role models for doing this.
Yeah.
And it kind of subconsciously can, really get a person down.
Yeah, absolutely.
But New York is a great place for this to try this, because there's so much going on. And we're just gonna need to know.
Go for it.
Yeah, I think not assuming that the parents will just take care of it, because I think that's the underlying assumption, that the parents will just figure it out, that you don't even need to say, oh, have you got a plan for how you're going to be dealing with your kids during the rehearsal process, because theatre is such an intense process. It's not like any other job. It's really all-encompassing. I mean, it's physically exhausting, it's emotionally draining, it's like we're producing, we're the creators, we're like trying to promote it, we're doing all this stuff, even like sitting in rehearsals being pregnant is hard. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I need some sort of giant body pillow to envelop me during this process.
Right.
Just things like that. It's like, you don't think about that when you're not a mother, or you haven't sort of turned your gaze to that issue of like, what's it going to take this person to be in the room?
Yeah.
So
I mean, as I said on my post, it's sort of been like I've been learning so much that I'd be willing to share, or I feel like maybe if someone starts from a theatre company who just write down a list of things, from really simple, cheap things they could do to make it easier, to more complicated issues, like make it flexible. But with a baby this age, it's actually been easier because I can just plonk him down somewhere, whereas a moving child is like a whole different.
Yes. Once they get mobile, it's a different negotiation.
Yeah, and but my daughter, who's 3.5, she really wants to come to rehearsals, but I've said no. Like, I can't cope with 2 children, and I can't cope with her at this age right now. But I will, bring her to a show, and she'll get to come to maybe a dress rehearsal, and I think it'll be maybe one of her first memories, I hope, or she's at such a great age for that. And there was something else I was going to say, but now I've forgotten. I don't know, it's been great working with Ali and the whole team, and our director Mia Ravenio has been really amazingly tolerant and accepting of all this, and just often I think her tone has set the vibe of the room. She'll just often start talking to Evan in the middle of a conversation about a scene or something, and including him, and just even that sort of funny, including him means a lot to me, and helps relax me.
That he's a welcome person in the space.
He really is. I think that there's like a level of kind of chill acceptance in the room that wouldn't exist if there wasn't a baby there and people weren't accepting that. It's shifted the dynamic to some degree. Like, people don't care that he's making a noise, or they, it makes us have to, because of that, we're trying to be less perfect in a way. Like, it's a way in which we, have to let things go.
Yes. Yeah, and you have to play with the energy in the space. Make it a little messy, and then I love working that way. I talk all the time how my kids take me out of that critical headspace and continually make me engage with the present moment. And it's been so helpful for my art, because I know that I usually choke it when I'm trying to overthink and over restrict and control it in my internal headspace. And there's just no room for that in a child's life. They're like, no, this is what's happening now, and I'm coming at you, whether you're ready for it or not. And it becomes a wonderful contact improv engagement at all times, which I felt artistically helpful. Yeah. Why don't you tell us the dates of Triplight?
So the show is running from May 30th to June 4th at Joe's Pub. It's 6 nights only. And Kristen C is our lead, and she's phenomenal actress, singer, performer in every way. She's really transcendent. She was just in The Band's Visit on Broadway, and she's such an incredible actress. So, and I think the show is really fun. It's like you can come and rock out. You can bring your kids.
Yeah,
we're making it an open space for that kind of thing.
Nice.
And I think it's also about just this idea of 90s New York that has disappeared. So the venues like CBGB's and Kim's Video, and there's like a lot of nostalgia about the way that New York used to be and is now. You know, there's a bank on every corner, there's Chick-fil-A, there's Chase Bank, whatever. You know, every neighborhood has just completely changed. So that's sort of woven through the show as well, which I think a lot of New Yorkers will really identify with.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, and break a leg.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
See you there.